I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
He was gobbling fucking wieners and buns.
I'm gonna go quick because I don't give a fuck about anything that's gonna happen on Saturday.
Welcome back. This is the MMA Analysis podcast. We got like half of our team here. I guess I'll start with co-chair at this point. Nushan, what's going on, man?
Oh, we're decimated. It's
which more importantly, which Canadian outpost are you at this week?
I'm actually home for once. It's a weird week. I'm actually leaving for a wedding tomorrow night. So,
where's that?
Oh, just down south. Just like a 5-hour drive. No big deal.
Down south, like the United States?
No. Just southeastern Alberta.
I forgot that going 5 hours south of Canada is basically that might as well be down the street.
Pretty much. It's like an hour from the border.
Okay, fair enough. Way farther south, the Kentucky gentleman, Wes Colvin. What's going on, man?
Ah, man, same old dude. Got the U.S. boys on the TV right now. Hoping we could get a win tonight. Would be nice.
Yeah, Nushan, Canada's playing tomorrow. I think maybe they finally got something in soccer. I mean, yeah, who am I kidding?
Yeah, settle down. Settle down there.
Yeah. Who are we kidding there? All right, yeah. Let's jump into some fight talk then. Breaking news coming from our very own MMA Oddsbreaker website.
James Lynch.
Yeah, good friend of the podcast. Good old Canada's finest, James Lynch. Breaking heavyweight championship is on the line, and it's signed. Stipe is going to be defending his title against none other than the guy who never shows up to fight, Cain Velasquez, October in Sin City. Let's start with Nushan here. Thoughts on that bout? And more importantly, what are the odds that fight actually happens?
Well, that's the first thing I was going to say. This is all dependent on Cain showing up, which we know he doesn't do very often. I mean, even the best journalist in the game, Ariel Helwani, tweeted yesterday that his back was still injured, according to his sources. So who the hell knows what's going on here? Odds that this happens, probably even money. Man, that's a tough thing to do.
That seems high.
That does seem high. I don't know. It's bad. And, I mean, it seems like this is going to be the main event. So, what are they, what's their backup plan if he falls out? Who's Stipe going to fight? Because...
Oh, buddy. He won't fight. He'll be moved.
I know. So, it's just basically going to ruin another pay-per-view card by the main event falling through. I mean, if Cain's healthy, he probably wins, but that's a big if. And if he shows up, and all these other ifs,
assuming a lot.
Yep,
you're assuming he's going to be able to take Stipe down pretty easily, which I don't know if that's going to be the case. Don't know.
Yeah.
Wes, what do you think on this? Do you think this fight actually happens, or is it just wishful thinking?
I don't know. I mean, I guess Cain could show up taped together with fucking 2x4s and duct tape, but I don't know. I don't think there's been many times that Cain hasn't made the walk. I think there's a lot of times where, he gets hurt and there's a fight planned like months out. But he usually makes the walk when he signs a bout agreement. Cain just a couple years ago, I think, runs through Stipe, runs through him. Cain's one of the best heavyweights we've ever seen, but man, I just don't know now. Even if he is somewhat healthy and shows up to the fight, I just don't know anymore, man. And Stipe he's improved a ton over the past couple years. So I think it's a really close fight, honestly, even if Cain shows up somewhat healthy. It's pretty intriguing to me. Yeah, I'd put the odds kind of long though on Kane making it. I'd have to see it first to believe it, man. It's pretty incredible how that camp just, every single dude in it gets hurt sooner or later. So we'll see, man. I hope it happens. It's probably about the best fight they can make outside of Stipe and Ngannou, and I really want them to wait on the big hog man a little bit longer before they throw him in there with Stipe.
Yeah, it really is a shame because American Kickboxing Academy is probably like pound for pound in terms of talent the best in the entire sport. I mean, their top
outside
5 guys.
Outside of Jackson's probably.
But
it's close. It's close
because they
and
got
it's more
some guys
concentrated too.
That's what I'm saying. There's some like lower rung guys still at Jackson's. Like fucking Diego's still there for Christ's sake. Like there's more guys and lower level guys for sure. You're right about that. The higher end at AKA is just unbelievable. Yeah, it's really impressive, and that's a shame that they have all these. It's like a lion's den of dudes, and they can't. They almost all of them seem to get hurt from time to time. I think every single guy, except maybe has Rockhold ever pulled out of a fight? I can't think of him maybe doing so, but I could be wrong.
He's been hurt though. He's had knee and back.
So it's a shame. But yeah, it's hard to. I mean, just giving Kane's history the last 3-4 years. I mean, you can't be confident he's ever going to make it to the cage because he's in this injury with the back. Seems like it's never ending. And probably going to be chronic, I assume, for the rest of his life. So disappointing because you're right. When he was at his peak, he was probably right up there, if not the best heavyweight. And you would probably favor him over just about any. Probably you might have favored him over anyone at any point in the heavyweight division. So even Prime Fedor, or I guess even with JDS after, whatever. So just it's just scary because it'll be really nice to see that fight because there isn't that many matchups left for Stipe. Besides that, and then you're right. I think it would be good for our good friend Francis Ngannou to wait a little longer. Let's see him beat Junior Dos Santos first, and then take a little more time off to prepare for the fight with Stipe because that will certainly be the toughest test he'll have to face. One other thing in our, a couple other things actually. Let's kind of get back to the bet from last weekend. We were on Stevie Ray Vaughan against Paul Felder, and frustrating defeat for us. Stevie Ray had never been knocked out. Tough elbow he took, and then knees and then elbows, and yeah, tough loss. Strike at 0-1 on the card. And then one other question. There's 2 really interesting fights outside of the UFC this past week. One from Bellator, the Brandon Gertz, Derek Campos fight, and then the fight from the Dana White series from just this past Tuesday with this Sean O'Malley kid. Which one did you guys enjoy more? Both were entertaining, but a little bit different styles. New Sean, which one did you like more?
I like the Campos Gertz one better. I think those guys are a lot more talented than the other guys, and it kind of was a lot more back and forth. I felt, and that cut was just insane.
Yeah, that was something, right?
The Jumpman logo in his forehead. That's just nasty, man. The O'Malley one was a good fight. I'm not really very high on that guy. I think he's going to get flatlined by an okay striker, and he probably gets grounded out by an okay wrestler. So maybe that's kind of why I wasn't as up on that fight.
Wes, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm with Sean here. The Gertz Campo fight is just guys at way different levels than what O'Malley is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I also agree with Sean. I think, O'Malley, he's probably going to take some losses early, but man, he's still really young and fun as hell. Get him a lot of these guys need to get to decent camps, man. I mean, that's such an underrated thing in MMA. A lot of these kids that just ain't at good camps yet, and you see a lot of guys come off tough that are at these no-name camps and end up getting at a camp that their coach is at or something on the show and just turn into different fighters. But yeah, as far as I love the O'Malley fight was really fun, but it wasn't Gertz Campos, man. That fight was insane. That was a really good fight. The only bad thing is it got ended by that cut. I'd have liked to seen it, go to the end. But yeah, that was a crazy good fight. But yeah, like I said, I'm intrigued by O'Malley. I'm glad they gave him a contract. I think he deserved it. And yeah, I'd like to see him at a good camp and see what the kid can do.
I guess kind of along, sticking with the O'Malley topic, were you guys surprised they only gave out one contract, for that fight, for that little fight card? You thought they were going to give out 2 or 3?
Not really. I think that's kind of the point of this. They're not trying to give out too many, and basically you have to be almost flawless to get the contract. I mean, Spawn had an impressive win, but I mean he got rocked early against a guy that's
he was toast, right?
Not very good.
He got saved.
He got saved.
Another referee would have called the fight.
Yeah, instead of calling the. So I kind of like it because they are giving it to guys that really, really deserve it, and I guess hopefully that pushes future guys to just go for it, I guess.
Yeah, I thought they could have gave out 2 because I thought Lee, he put on a show that was pretty impressive. So I thought they could have gave out 2. I don't think Spawn deserved one whatsoever. But I'm glad they only did one. I mean, last week I think kind of the first show and the hype around, probably in the building as the fights were going on, they're kind of wanting to give out contracts to everybody that won. But I like this time they went back to 1. Make it to where guys come in there and put on a damn show. You got to do that to get that contract. So, yeah, I'm cool with 1.
Yeah, I think they kind of know the level of these guys. Kind of before going in, I think they thought pretty highly of the Boston Salmon, and that's why he got the contract more so than I think they just think that Thon Lee to me is basically just James Moonpie, 2.0. So he has flash and he could beat up, guys that aren't UFC level. But once guys pressure him or even have a wrestling game, it's going to be very difficult for him to win. So, just a guy who's going to look good against poor competition in my eyes. I think they kind of recognize that. So
yeah, it might be
take.
A combination of your performance as well as your
ceiling,
and
and your show, and your talk, because you've seen how Dana literally got a half a heart on talking about O'Malley mainly because of his talk. You know what I'm saying?
He was excited before that.
Yeah, of course. Then he saw, and then the talk. I mean, you could tell that he was signing that kid as long as he won. I think that was almost predetermined. Dana loved that kid before he even fought last night.
Yeah, that's probably true. Plus, he's comes from the chicken parm lab, so
yeah, the chicken parm fighting center.
Yeah. Let's move on to there was a UFC card on Sunday in Glasgow, Scotland. Scottish fighters not so good on this event, but we'll get to that. Fight Press prelims: Leslie Smith beats up Amanda Lemos, TKO second round. Brett Johns defeats Albert Morales by decision. Johns, has decent potential in the UFC. Would you guys say he's the best English, or he's not English, he's Welsh. Is he the best UK wrestler currently in the UFC?
Close.
Bisping's probably better, but Bisping's more of a defensive wrestler.
Defensive, yeah.
But Johns, that's a pretty damn good offensive wrestling game for a.
You're not going to get too much better. Yeah, you're not going to get too much better over on that side of the pond when it comes to wrestling,
unless it's Russia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's a day. Yeah.
All right. I agree. Probably right. Fight the preliminary card on Fox Sports 1 started off with Danny Henry. Yes, Danny Henry defeating the brother of David Tamer, Daniel Tamer, by decision, which won fight of the night. Galore Bafando somehow didn't win a performance bonus for slamming a dude on his head and knocking him out. Okay? Think about that for a second.
Oh,
and Pantoja subs Neil's theory. Yeah, that's a no goal, Wes. I know. You're really upset about Neil's theory. And then Danny Roberts knocks out Bobby Nash. Bobby Nash coming up with, looking good in first rounds and then getting KO'd in second rounds. He's making that like a thing. Any thoughts on those, New Sean?
Yeah, I dodged a bullet with my my altered strategy of the women's overs, but passing on them if they're newcomers, because Lemos kind of did what we thought. She was okay to start with, but faded hard when she couldn't finish in the first. Brett Johns was pretty impressive. I mean, it's still Albert Morales, but I mean that top game was pretty suffocating. Daniel Tamer, I mean, I guess both of these guys are going down to featherweight. Danny Henry definitely has a good chin because Tamer cracked him a couple times, and I was pretty bummed about that because I had some money on Tamer and thought he was going to get the finish, but he just put too much into finishing in the first and got crushed in the second and third. And good old pussy galore Bafando just making up new ways to knock people out. But at least Charlie Ward did better. He did last more than 55 seconds like I told you he would. So John Kavanagh making big strides with Charlie Ward. Pantoja, he was impressive. I mean, that's I think he's just going to keep getting better and better. Bobby Nash just does well to start and gets knocked out. That was not ideal because I had some money on old Bobby Nashty.
Wes, I'm going to ask you a very important question.
Shoot.
Is Charlie Ward the worst fighter currently signed to a UFC contract? Yes or no?
I have to go back with a question. Is CM Punk still under contract?
Okay, I'll ask you a second question. If CM Punk and Charlie Ward were squared off in a fight, what would you line it? That's a very important question.
I guess you'd have to make Ward a slight favorite, right? You'd have to, right? But it's the Kavanaugh factor. You got to make him a slight favorite.
Dude's lost twice got knocked out in 55 seconds or 51 seconds and 2 minutes and 10 seconds in two fights.
I mean, Pussy Galore is a scary man, though.
He is a terrifying man. Like, why? Does anybody know why he wasn't fighting recently?
I just don't think he gives a fuck.
He should give a fuck.
He trains people. He's 35 years old.
Yeah, and he got those couple DQs, and maybe it kind of scared some promotions away a little. I mean, the dude literally kneed two guys in the head on the ground and fucked them up.
He is a scary man.
Scary.
With the greatest pimp name of all time.
That's right.
Yeah, we like him.
Yeah, let me go through these. The Leslie Smith, that was, like Sean said, kind of how we figured old girl was going to gas, and man, she gassed hard. She looked fucking terrible. That second round and on, it was bad. Brett Johns, great top game. Kid might be pretty decent, man. You don't see a lot of that from that part of the world, man. Like we talked about, that's a different kind of wrestling for a Welsh guy. Man, Tamer, dude, I don't know, man. He needs to drop a weight class, but he needs to get in fucking shape too. I mean, he looked real pudgy and shit, but man, how fun was that dude in round one? Twitter was anointing this dude in round one. We're all like, this dude drops a weight class.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I was too. I was like, man,
I think the big thing in that fight was really that he was fighting up a weight class because the power just wasn't translating.
Yeah, and I think he gassed too because he was he was
loading up on the punches.
Yeah, and carrying way too much weight, man. I mean, he looked really kind of pudgy and shit. That's not good for your cardio either. But I mean, if you can get that first round Tamer for 3 rounds, he's going to be a problem, man. That dude that was a fun round. Jack, good on Henry, man, for staying in there. Dude's got a hell of a chin, like Sean said, because goddamn, he took some stuff in that first round. And pussy galore, man. Fuck, I came up off the couch on that. That you don't see those every day, man. And how he didn't get any kind of a bonus for that is just beyond me, dude. That was fun stuff. Pretty much said on the show, man. Pantoja was my favorite pick on the entire card. Minus 300. It's juiced, but it was short. I think that guy's good. I think, like Sean said, he's only going to get better. And that's a guy I think that can contend one day. I think he's a top 5 guy. He's really, really good. Really interested to see, see how good he can get. And, Bobby Nash is Bobby Nash. I love that under in that fight, and it got there for me. So, yeah, pretty fun.
Yeah, Bobby Nash hates third rounds, that's for sure. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Moving up to the main card, Justin Willis defeated James Mulheron by decision.
Fatty.
Willis isn't terrible, is he? He's at AK, I think, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't seem to have punching power, but pretty smart game plan, though. Never put himself in trouble. We like that. Khalil Roundtree won this fight before it even started.
Terrifying.
KOing another Scottish fighter. Like we said, not a good night for Scotland. We'll get to the others later on this card, but yeah, just the destruction, right, guys?
Yeah.
That picture was pretty awesome. I don't usually like when guys stand over somebody knocked out, but that picture from all elbows was fucking awesome.
Roundtree is terrifying if you can't take him down, because he is very confident and a very imposing person. That was scary, and I felt bad for the Bear Jew.
Yeah. What's crazy, that dude used to be like 300 pounds or something like that. Yeah. Roundtree did. He used to be like a huge fat guy. That's why he got into MMA. Now look at that dude.
He's talking about working at that new training center UFC has, and crediting all that. Like, he seems like a totally different person. Like, the way he talked, the way he acted, it was like I was like, what happened? Was he born again? Like, it's very, I don't know what happened, but it's interesting.
On Tough, he kind of, when he was on that season, he kind of talked like he did MMA, kind of started to get in shape because he was like 300 pounds. I don't even think he really wanted to fight. And then he got beat up on Tough, and I think he ended up going out to Vegas and training at the Extreme Couture gym before he moved to that UFC training center. And, man, something clicked, dude. That dude said he wanted to fight and started training for real, and he looks like he could be for real, man. Jesus.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Next fight up on the card, Wales, Jack Marshman sneaks out a win against Ryan James. I mean, what was he, like minus 550 on this card? Man, that was way closer than it should have been, right, Sean?
That is correct. I didn't give James much of a chance, but he made it close. But yeah, you shouldn't be laying that big of a number on a guy that's Marshman, basically, at that level. That's asking for trouble.
Is it possible that Ryan James' chin isn't as bad as people think it is?
Marshman doesn't hit with a ton of power, I think. I think his power's a little overrated.
He's also way undersized for this weight class, too.
Yeah.
He's a pudge ball.
Yep.
Definite pudge ball. Next up, where we get to kind of the key fights on the card, another Scottish hero goes to dust, like we were talking about before. Stevie Ray taking a hell of a knee from Paul Felder. KO'd in round 1. Nushan, thoughts on this one?
A surprising result. I was pretty big on the over. I know Felder had been finishing some fights lately, but Stevie Ray is pretty much a decision machine, and he's also shown a pretty good chin, but man, Felder put it to him. A little bit perplexing game plan by Stevie Ray. He was trying to like take him down and stuff like that. Like, he should have been just staying on the outside and just using his volume striking. But, I mean, I guess that's hindsight 2020. Felder seems like he's kind of putting it together lately, so maybe I'll have to stop underrating him, and maybe he's done shaking his angry face when he gets hit, and maybe he can do something.
Could be. What do you think, Wes?
Yeah, I'm with Sean on the perplexing game plan because that didn't look like Stevie Ray to me. I was screaming the whole time, kind of, what are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, he could have stayed at a little bit of distance and I think outbox Felder, honestly. And he didn't do that. Got caught. But let's be like pretty clear here. Felder is not a top 3 or 4 striker in MMA. The idiot that said that shit, there's no wonder you lose all kinds of money betting MMA because Paul Felder is not a top 3 or 4 striker in the sport. He landed a big elbow. I think he's a decent striker, but I still don't think he's better than Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray just had the fight IQ of a fucking doorknob in that fight, and he got caught. So if they was to fight again and you gave me Stevie Ray at even money, I would take it every single time. So
Felder lands cool as shit, but I mean, him not throwing volume is just his biggest downfall.
Can't win in MMA doing that. Yeah. Not now, you know.
I mean, maybe that'll improve his game and he'll become a good striker, but at this point, with his lack of volume, he's not anywhere near some really good strikers in the UFC.
I think Stevie Ray's better striker than him, even though he just knocked him out.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like you said, hindsight, different game plan, different fight, but
yep.
Yeah.
That's true. Not much to add on that one. I'll say that. Co-main event was interesting enough. Catchweight, Cynthia Calvillo continues her undefeated run in the UFC, winning by decision, but it really should have finished. Another 0-for-3 Scotland, Joanne Calderwood. No defensive wrestling. New Sean, I mean, how did Calvillo not submit her here?
Yeah, that's surprising considering how good Calvillo seems to be on the ground. You'd think she could finish
she's
that.
Really excellent, isn't she?
I know, but so it's surprising, especially against somebody like Calderwood who's been subbed a bunch. But I don't know, maybe Calderwood that's all she was training at TriStar or what? But I don't know. Might have to slow our roll on Calvillo. I mean, she did win 30-27 on 2 scorecards, but I mean, she's still a young fighter. I think we still got to slow play her until for a little while before she gets to the upper echelon. And Calderwood still can't make 115. That's no surprise. I saw her. I saw her on.
She doesn't want to fight there.
I saw her on They have a TV show on Fight Network. I don't know if they have it down in the States, but it's called TriStar Stories, and it's basically just about. They did like a little small documentary about TriStar, and she was like hosting it, and she must have been pushing like 160 or 170. Like I barely recognized her.
170.
Yeah, like I sent a picture, but holy
pre-abortion.
She was. I honestly barely recognized her, so I was like, yeah, and I'm pretty sure this was filmed not that long ago, so I'm like, there's no way she's going to be making 115 anytime soon, but.
Was she having quintuplets?
I mean, she looked kind of big during like fight week, you know what I'm saying? Like leading up, I was thinking like, damn, she looks kind of big, you know?
I honestly don't think she gave a fuck. I think she was pissed because right after she signed up for this fight, they announced the 125 division, weight. And she's like, "What the fuck? Like that's the weight division I want to be on." So
yes, yeah, she doesn't care until she gets to 125, in my opinion.
She still hasn't really, like, what? She just hasn't lived up to anything close to what
people hyped her to be.
And even some of her early fights, like, I mean, she did show some skill there. I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't think she's really evolved at all. She's like the same fighter, and I don't even know if going to a place like TriStar now is like some great grand thing anymore. You know, like who's the last like really good guy coming out of there anymore? You know, most of Faraz's guys are just laying prayers and shit that.
He's
try to.
he's training Duffy now.
Yeah,
they got a lot of imports though. Guys
Yeah.
have already kind of done
They
something,
were,
and then they
and
go
then,
there to.
to fine tune some things. But yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I just don't see her fine tuning things there. She's kind of the same fighter, and with Cavallo, I mean, yeah, I think she's decent, man. But if you can't put away like Calderwood when you had her in some of the spots you had her in, and then as far as like the decision, I was seeing on Twitter that there was people, Calderwood fans and shit that were bitching and complaining about the decisions, like she didn't win that fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even close to winning that fight. So chill out with that. And yeah, I'm interested to see, Cynthia in her next fight. But yeah, slow the roll on her. She's not some
phenom.
Crazy. Yeah, she's not some crazy talent like everybody's talking about. And she's decent. Calderwood, I'd like to see her 125. Stop doing the weight cut, but. Just besides that, I don't know if she's really evolved too much. I don't know how much going up a weight class is gonna change too many things.
Fair enough. Main event: Gunnar Nelson lands, kind of rocks Santiago Ponzinibbio on the feet, gets poked in the eye.
It's John Jones.
Rocked himself and is toast. Ponzi scheme gets the biggest win of his career and now gets to go on the pontoon boat into the top 10 of the welterweight division. Nushan, what'd you think about this one?
That was a wild fight for only lasting 1 minute and 22 seconds. They didn't really feel each other out for too damn long. Gunnar looked good early. He cracked Ponzi a couple times. He did get eye poked, but I mean, it is what it is. I guess he should have stopped if it was that bad. I guess that's his fault. Whatever. I know Gunnar gets hit a lot, but damn, Ponzi must have some power because he fucking flatlined him. Rocked him and then flatlined him. Very impressive. I was on Gunnar, and I don't know. This is one of those fights. I mean, I know it lasted 1 minute and 22 seconds, but I could definitely see this fight going differently in another contest. Maybe I'm just wrong. But Gunnar didn't look that bad. He got hit, and Ponzi's got power. So it'll be interesting to see who they face Ponzi with now. And I don't know. I guess Gunnar will
maybe Neil
Magny.
Maybe Neil Magny. Honestly, maybe they'll do Magny
against Ponzi.
Yeah.
Hello, boys.
Who is that? Who is that?
What's going on?
Oh,
what's up?
Talking about the main event from Sunday.
Oh, there was fights on Sunday?
we know you're a junior sodsman now, Brad, and you got things to do in the yard on Sundays, but there were some fights.
I didn't have to do anything on Sunday, actually. It was perfect. It was way better than a Saturday card.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Did they overturn it to a no contest yet? For those vicious
exactly
Kempo eye pokes?
Those fucking prime chocolate dill fucking eye pokes.
Gunnar really needs to work on his Three Stooges eye blocks because when you're coming with the double eye poke like Ponzi was, there's no stopping it.
He poked him pretty bad 3 times. I don't agree with too much of anything John Kavanaugh, but that video that he posted, that's some legit
it doesn't look good, that's for sure.
No, it was bad, and I'm kind of different than you, Sean, on Gunnar stopping it and stuff. That's the ref's job.
I know.
to see that and stop that immediately.
Well, especially because Gunnar pawed at his eye right after.
Yeah, a lot.
Yep.
But the ref was in a really terrible spot. He was really far away from him, and he was on the other side of his eye. So it's it's shitty, but fighters, I guess, have to call timeout, even though they're not supposed to. It's stupid.
There almost needs to be another ref on the outside that can signal to the guy in the cage that there was a foul.
Yeah,
why not give the ref an earpiece?
Yeah.
And then, on top of that, even when he, got him over towards the cage, he poked him again.
Right before he flatlined him.
Yeah, and like Sean said, Gunnar looked good. He cracked Ponzi, early. Gunnar looked really good. I was feeling very good about my Gunnar bet 30 seconds into that fight. I think it's a very different fight if he doesn't get jabbed in the eye 3 times. I think it's a very different fight, but, like Sean said, maybe I'm wrong. Could have gone the same way. I don't think so.
Yeah, you just don't know. You just don't know.
Like, new rules, that could be like point deductions for Ponzi. Like, those are straight up point deductions now under new rules, but there were no new rules.
And the ref also didn't see it, so what the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah. Yep.
It's shitty.
Also true.
It's shitty.
Leon Roberts has been an okay ref considering the refs that are in the sport. He's been
certainly
okay.
Worse refs. Yeah, there's definitely worse refs out there.
Yeah, he was just far away. It was just a bad time to get poked, I guess. I
think Mark Goddard might be the best ref in MMA currently.
I'm not
going to say he's the best, but he's improved a lot over the last couple of years.
He hears what people say and has tried to improve, and I'll give him that.
Yeah.
He's on the other spectrum of Big John, to where Big John thinks he knows everything about everything, and go fuck yourself,
I mean, Herb's made a lot of mistakes recently. I think
they all do.
They
all do.
Yeah. Herb's in the most high-profile spots too, so
yeah,
he's going to get nitpicked a little more.
Yeah. Herzog's pretty good too.
Did you see Herb at the ACB event this afternoon? He had to choke 2 guys off of each other.
What?
This other Russian literally held on to a front choke, standing choke for 10 seconds after the guy's limp, and Herb's got him in a damn guillotine trying to pull the dude off of him and shit. Yeah, Herb
didn't Herb fight Diesel Riggs back in the day?
Yeah,
I think he did.
Yeah,
I think so. I'm pretty sure he lost too.
Oh yeah. Oh man, what a crazy sport.
Yeah, really crazy.
When the refs are former fighters, yeah, that is funny.
You got to respect
Vitor Ribeiro. He's going to be reffing on Saturday probably.
Hell, Frank Trigg is reffing and shit now.
Is he really?
Yeah, he reffed.
Where? What org?
He reffed on Axis not too long ago.
And LFA?
I can't remember. I think it was a different one.
Or Lion fights, or I don't know.
I think it was
before. Can't be Lion fights.
I think it might have been before they merged and it was a Titan or something like that. But yeah, he does judging and reffing now.
That's interesting.
They need more of those. They need more guys that I think not just fought, but follow and look at the sport more closely. I think a lot of these refs and shit are just weekend warrior type dudes at this point. They're pulling guys out of IHOPs and shit and man, you've been in a couple bar fights? Want to ref a fight tonight?
That's good. I like it. Let's move on to why the people come to listen. We got another fight card on Saturday. Strong Island, New York. Strong Island.
Classic.
New York versus the
Long
world.
Island.
Yeah. New York versus the world. I think that's the theme here. Just about. I guess we'll start it off. I don't know who's going to go first here. Brad? Newshaw?
I'm only here for 15 minutes and then I'm gone.
All right.
So.
All right, that's fine. All right.
I'll use my time wisely.
First fight on the card, Christopher Wade taking on Jersey's finest, or one of Jersey's finest, Frankie Perez, in a lightweight contest. Brad, any thoughts on this battle?
Frankie Perez in his last fight got out wrestled by a British dude, right?
That is not good.
And Chris Wade's a pretty good wrestler.
And it's not Brett Johns.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be a close fight because Chris Wade never really blows anybody out, but yeah, I can't see him losing a whole lot of grappling exchanges in this one. Maybe if he gets tired towards the end of the fight, Perez can get some offense going, but I got to think that this one's definitely going the distance, and Wade's probably staying on top for most of the fight, getting a decision.
That's fair. New Sean, same thoughts?
Definitely agree with Brad. I played the over 2.5 at -200. I think
it's a good play.
Yeah, I think Wade's gonna win for the most part. Like Brad said, he might gas.
There you go,
late.
West.
Yes.
I knew that was coming. I love how my TV is way faster.
You're a few seconds ahead of me.
Wes, are you on satellite or cable? Or
yeah, I got dish. Yeah, you're gonna be a few seconds ahead of me.
Good to know.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'll take Wade, but the play is the over.
Is this going to be a consensus, Mr. West?
Yes. Like Brad said, Frankie Perez is getting out wrestled by British dudes, and Chris Wade is getting somewhat out wrestled by Russians. There's a big difference there. Chris Wade is going to win a 3-round decision here. I have him in a parlay. I'm going to sprinkle on Chris Wade by decision, and I'm going to look at the points handicap when it comes out.
Yeah, this is going to be a 4 for 4 here. I got Chris Wade a C, Frankie Perez a D+. Frankie Perez isn't a bad fighter, but he's kind of okay at a lot of things and not great at anything. That's tough against Wade because Wade's going to be able to grapple, like you guys said. That's where he's going to do his most work. But I have to say, though, Frankie Perez is not an easy guy to finish. I really think this goes to decision. Nushan, I think, kind of hits it right. I think it's one of the best bets on the card is the over. Perez and Wade over 2.5. I think it's up to minus 225. There's some other fights that we've seen recently, and we've seen some of these overs kind of really move. So, like some fights 350, almost minus 400 in some cases. I think this is a very good bet. And you could also look at Wade by decision. I think that's a winner as well. Next fight up, we got who do we got? Oh,
Burgos.
Pretty good. Yeah, featherweight battle between Shane Burgos and friend of the MMA Analysis, Mr. Hot Magma, Godofredo Pepe. Brad, I know you're excited to talk about this one. Our man Pepe, Mr. Magma.
Oh, I hope that he is pissing holes through the floors for this fight.
We all do.
Just spraying ecto cooler all over the world.
Oh yeah.
New York, so you could get some ecto cooler going.
Yeah, New York has one of those commissions that's real fucked up. So I could definitely see Mr. Magma getting away with some stuff coming into this fight. You got to wait for weigh-in, see if he's got the armpit vein going on. That's always an important indicator of the magma, the level of magma in which he is on. But, Shane Burgos, we've talked a little bit about he can be pretty casual in fights. I think overall he's probably the better fighter than Mr. Magma, and he'd probably be the smart pick here, but... who likes to make smart picks? Right. I want to make fun picks. I want to see Mr. Magma come out there, throw 17 flying knees, and then hit a flying triangle on him in the first 2 minutes of the fight.
That would be pretty cool. New Shaw.
If this fight was in Brazil and I had Magma at plus 310, that's an auto play for me. Unfortunately, this is in New York, and I mean, New York does have a sketchy athletic commission, so I still might sprinkle on him, depending on the weigh-ins, if he's got the good vein going. And I'll probably pick him in Toutmaster.
All right, Wes.
Yeah, what those guys said is absolutely on. If this was in Brazil, it would be an auto play at plus 300. I think Pepe inside the distance is over plus 400. That would be a play immediately.
What's Pepe round one going to be? It's got to be if inside is 400, it's got to be at least 5.
Yeah,
when it comes out.
Might even be 6. Yeah.
Yeah, the only reason you even have to think about it is because it's in New York. Like Sean said, Brazil auto play, but we'll check the vein on the scale. We'll have Lance give us the inside info on the hog vein, see if it's pumping up real good, and if both veins are lining up, Pepe's going to be a play.
Yeah, I got both these guys. I got both these guys to see. But the thing is, I only got one grade on Pepe, and it's not like I got 2 grades going, like his Brazil grade and his non-Brazil grade. So it'd be more like kind of like a C plus, B minus, and like a C minus, D plus. That's kind of the way I look at it. I think Burgos is actually a pretty good fighter. Really talented striker. I think he's got a pretty good future in the UFC. He'll probably fight, 10, 15 times in the organization. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Still pretty young. I think he's going to outwork Pepe here, potentially finish him. Pepe's going to slow down in this bout. There's no doubt about it. And Burgos is going to turn it on second round. I think it's going to be all she wrote for Pepe. So I think the knockout is definitely in range for this bout. Next bout on the card, Junior Albini is making his UFC debut against another friend of the MMA Analysis, Timmy Big Dick Johnson.
What a card!
Man, how excited are you? I mean, we get Mr. Magma and Timmy Big Dick back to back. I mean, that's pretty good for Fight Pass.
Yeah, you can't be mad about this Fight Pass card at all. I mean, yeah, it's if the octagon is still standing after Mr. Magma comes in there and spits hot fire absolutely everywhere, then Timmy Big Dick's gonna do his thing. I honestly know absolutely nothing about Junior Albini. I didn't plan on being on the show at all tonight, so I didn't do any research on him. But he's going to get grappled by the Big Dick. By the Big Dick, he's just going to get all up in there and rearrange some organs, I think.
Excellent. That will be fun. New Sean, you're going to be betting Timmy Big Dick?
I don't know, man.
You want to?
I kind of want to, but laying 230 on the Big Dick is a little high. I don't know much about this Albini guy. He definitely doesn't look by his Sherdog picture like a 265-pound guy. I don't know if that's just a fake picture or if this is fake news or what the hell's going on. But
that's possible.
Trump's America.
That's right. It is a Brazilian guy going to New York. That is always an issue. So definitely gonna pick the big dick one to grapple to a decision win.
Wes, are you on the big dick train here too?
Yeah, I probably got to ride the big dick here as well.
The Penis Express.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to lay that kind of juice on Timmy Big Dick. He should win here, but he's in some close fights sometimes. I am looking at we got a 2.5 fatty here, but I think
ultra fatties.
Yeah, I think it's an ultra fatty that should hit though. So I'll probably sprinkle on the over just to have a little bit of action. But yeah, Timmy's the pick and a little sprinkle on the over.
Yeah, I actually haven't even done my research on Junior Albini yet, so I can't really say too much on this bout. One thing I can tell you though is that just 2 fights ago, July of 2016, so just over a year ago, he knocked out someone called Ivan Visic, who was 2-3 heading into the bout. So,
stiff competition.
And then 2 fights before that. He only fought another time in 2016 that was off for 2 years and faced a guy who was 0-1. And then his last bout overall was in August 2016 against a Brazilian who was 19-12. So competition level certainly is a real issue. At least with Timmy Big Dick, he's really faced some pretty solid fighters in the UFC. Volkov, he beat Tibur, which is his best win. He faced Jared Rochel at one point. It's not like he hasn't faced, the top of the weight class per se, but, he's fought, UFC caliber fighters. So keep that into account when looking at this bout. Next fight up, the return of Brian Kelleher against the Brad Pickett killer, Marlon Vera. Brad?
I was actually hoping we'd get to this one before I had to split. I think this line's kind of crazy. Because Kelleher, we talked about him going up against Alcantara, how he's got a good guillotine. I don't think that he's got much else besides that guillotine. So I think he's going to struggle to get this one to the ground consistently. And I think that Vera has been improving quite a bit. I think he's got a significant advantage on the feet. And not sure that he goes out there and stops Kelleher, but I think if this turns into a striking battle, he's got a big edge. And at plus 195 now, I got to take the shot on Vera.
Yeah. Okay. New Sean?
Kind of a weird matchup. Kelleher gets this big win against Yuri Alcantara, and then all of a sudden he's facing Marlon Vera. Like, I not betting Kelleher in any way, but it's just weird that after you get a big win against, I mean, Alcantara was like top 15, wasn't he? Before that fight?
Yeah, I think he was like 8th or something, maybe.
And then now he's fighting Marlon Vera. Like, maybe they know that he might have got a little lucky there. I don't know. But, yeah, I'm not sold on Kelleher either, but I'm not a fan of Marlon Vera either. He was losing to Brad Pickett before he knocked his ass out, so it's definitely a pass for me, but we'll be taking Vera as a dog in Toutmaster.
Wes?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Brad here. I think Kelleher's just kind of living off of that. The line is kind of based off of that win on Alcantara, and I think Brad's also right. He kind of even y'all mentioned about his path to victory in that fight, and it kind of happened. Vera's tough, man, and like Brad said, if he can keep this standing, I think he's got a shot. I don't think he was in tough with Pickett, but Pickett's no easy out for anybody. So yeah, at almost plus 200 here, he'll definitely be a Toutmaster pick, and I'll probably have to sprinkle a little something on Vera as well.
Yeah, I got Kelleher C, Vera D. I think a little bit higher of Kelleher than you guys do. He's definitely fighting on home turf here from Long Island. Going to be obviously amped up for this bout. Really tricky submission game. Vera, pretty flashy striker, but does make mistakes. Could end up in an ugly position again. Kelleher subs him. Kelleher obviously a better grappler too. Could take him to the ground. Fights are pretty fast paced. So I think it's a little bit of a buyer beware. I think it looks. I think it's going to look more tempting than the result will actually be, but we shall see. And then the Fight Pass, I believe it's the Fight Pass, headliner. Kyle Bochniak returning against another Canadian prospect, Jeremy Kennedy. Brad, any thoughts on Canada here?
Is there even such a thing as a Canadian prospect at this point?
Laramie?
You got some of those guys that are in TKO, the Laramies and the Jordanians.
Yeah, they're pretty good, but that's about it.
Jeremy Kennedy's all right. He can grapple a bit. Not really all that entertaining to watch, and I don't think athletically he's got much of a high ceiling. So he probably wins this fight. He probably wins it by decision because Bochniak is just a tough sort of brawler type. But I don't predict long-term a lot of good things for Jeremy Kennedy. So I'll take him by decision here, but that's not something I want to be betting. I got a split, so it's been a slice, gentlemen. I can't wait to hear the rest of the show.
All right. Good that Brad stopped in. That's always fun. Continuing on with the show, Nushan, are you going to be siding with your fellow Canadian in this one?
I'll pick him, but there's no way I'm going to bet him. I mean, this guy is a decision machine. His nickname is a junior bacon cheeseburger. I think he's less satisfying than that with his fucking terrible decisions. Bochniak is not great. This is just a total pass for me, but I'll pick the Canuck for shits and giggles.
Yeah. Wes, thoughts on this one, Canada or nothing?
Yeah, the pick's got to be Kennedy, but yeah, this is another fight on here that I think is the dog is kind of tempting to take a shot on, but it's kind of like the last fight, how you kind of said it's the line's a little more intriguing then the fight is probably going to play out. The fave's probably going to win. I think there's a few fights on this card like that. This is another one. Kennedy should win. Bochniak is tough. You kind of want to take a shot on 2-1, but the fave is probably just going to squeak out a close decision. So, yeah, I think Kennedy gets it done. To another fight Sean mentioned before the show about a lot of overs on this card. I think this is another over that's probably going to hit minus 260 is kind of juice, but I think it's a good parlay piece. It should go to a decision. Kennedy by decision.
That's fair. I got Bochniak a D, Jeremy Kennedy a C-. I think this actually fight plays well into Kennedy's, just his skill set. because Bochniak is aggressive. I think that plays well. Kennedy can kind of, take advantage of, some over-aggressive Bochniakness and push him up against the cage where he's kind of at his best. He likes to, make his fights physical, work for takedowns, push his opponents against the cage. He's not a power puncher. Just outworks opponents. I think that works really well here. I think he wins. But at the same time, it's kind of difficult to bet guys like that just because they don't have overwhelming power. They don't really land anything decisive, whether it's even from submission or from striking standpoint. So you just kind of have to rely on them to outwork an opponent. Like I said, it's a little difficult to bet, especially with Juice. Kind of more of a guy you want to bet at dog money in that type of situation. So just keep that in mind. Next fight up, we're Brad just left, which is a shame because we get to one of his favorite elements of every MMA fight card. Fatty's gonna fatty, heavyweight fight. Damian Grabowski against everybody's new favorite Chase Sherman. New Sean, are you gonna take the fellow your fellow Canadians favorite MMA play and apply it here?
I was eyeing it at the opener of over
What was
1.5 plus 145, but it's got bet a lot. It's down to minus 110 now. And
can you really trust Grabowski?
Grabowski likes to get knocked the fuck out in very short amount of time.
He's also way undersized for this weight class.
Yeah. I know Sherman disposed of Coulter last time, but he was pretty roughed up in that one as well. So I don't know if I can trust either of these guys to make it halfway through the second round. I was eyeing it. It might not have been a bad play at plus 145, but now that it's juiced, I'm gonna have to pass. Sherman should be able to knock out Grabowski. Just the size advantage, like you said, Jay, is pretty significant. Grabowski just really likes to get knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, it does. That's fair. Wes, anything on this one?
Yeah, this is a fatty's gonna fatty that you're gonna have to. Yeah. You're gonna have to hold your sphincter factor tight. Yeah, it's gonna be a close one, but I got it at plus 110, and they could knock either one of each other out in fucking 30 seconds, or they could get fucking fat and lay on each other for 15 minutes. So I think Sherman wins. I don't think much of Sherman. I know he's starting to get a little following because he's trying to be Twitter famous and shit, but I mean he's okay in a really shitty division. So I think he wins the fight, but can't bet him at that kind of line, and we're gonna go fatty's gonna fatty.
Nice. I got Grabowski an F, Sherman a D-. I know people were probably surprised by my Sherman grade, but I mean, as much as I like Sherman, and I do, like offensively, that he looks great, and then all of a sudden it just kind of falls apart because he's so hittable on the feet, and he puts himself. He had Coulter dead to rights. Coulter couldn't even walk, and he still almost got KO'd just by being stupid. Definitely potential there to go up even a full letter grade at some point, but there's flaws. In this fight, he's just a lot bigger than Grabowski. I think that's a huge factor in any heavyweight fight at this point. Just the size and just 20, 30 pounds in this weight class could be a big factor. I think that sets up well for Sherman. It's going to give him a big power edge. He's going to be able to keep it standing. I think he's eventually going to KO Grabowski. Whether that's really early or if it's like mid-fight, not sure. So I'm not sure about the fatty's going to fatty. I think that could be a sweat, but I could see either side hitting. Next fight up is honestly one of the best fights on the entire card. Long Island's Ryan LaFleur taking on Brazilian Alex Oliveira. New Sean. What do you think about this one?
LaFleur has 7 UFC fights, and all 7 have went to decision, and that's including
and been terrible.
And that includes a 5-rounder against Damian Maia. This guy just loves to be in boring, grindy fights. Cowboy has only been to 2 decisions in 9 of his fights, but I kind of expect Ryan LaFleur to impose his game plan of wrestling and grinding on the Cowboy, and he will probably gas a bit in the third, but survive. And I definitely think it's going over. I played the over at -245. And the pick will be LaFleur to grind his ass off and be in terrible, terrible fights.
Mm-hmm. Wes.
Yeah, this is another one, like I said, that I kind of looked at. I think it's a kind of close fight. You want to take a small shot on the dog, but the fave is probably going to win a very close decision. So, yeah, I kind of agree with Sean here. I think LaFleur just wrestles Cowboy. Cowboy always gets tired in the second and third round, and LaFleur doesn't. So I think he can control and hang on for a 3-round decision here. Another over that should hit, and LaFleur by decision is only like 50 cents off his money line. So I'll probably end up sprinkling on LaFleur a little bit. But yeah, over's probably the play here. LaFleur is the pick.
Fair enough. I got B- for LaFleur, Alex Oliveira C+. I think this could be competitive, but I just think LaFleur, I think his conditioning will come into account in this bout. He's definitely better conditioned than Cowboy, who does tend to tire. And I think, honestly, LaFleur is just a better overall grappler. I think he can get Oliveira to the ground, his bread and butter, and can win. I don't think he wants to be playing around on the feet with Cowboy's power. That could be a little dangerous for him. But, I mean, this isn't a runaway, but I do think the advantage is for LaFleur here to win. So I think it's fairly, lined pretty close to what it should be. So just kind of a watch and see for me. Really interesting a fight coming up next on the card. Rafael Natal from New York City taking on, a pretty interesting prospect in Eric Anders, former LFA fighter. Newshon, what do you think about this? Pretty evenly lined fight.
Very evenly lined fight. I don't think Rafael Natal is good. That win against Uriah Hall is a weird one, considering the rest of his wins are who they are against. Eric Anders is an interesting kind of prospect here. He has his football background. I mean, he is pretty damn athletic. He went 5 rounds and won the title in his last fight for LFA. This is a bit of a late notice fight. If he had probably a full camp, I would more likely bet him. At this point, I'm gonna sit back and watch, and hopefully he can do some bad things to Rafael Natal.
Yeah, Wes.
Yeah, I actually think this is a fairly decent matchup for Anders in his first fight in the UFC. I know Natal kind of caught Timmy and kind of got him out of there with some flash shit, but I don't see he doesn't have like that big explosive power or anything. I think that's a really good matchup for Anders here. I think Anders can kind of control Natal. Natal loves to go up against the cage and get controlled up against the cage. I can see Anders doing some of that and getting takedowns in this fight. I played him at, I believe it was -120 or -115. And I think he wrestles to a decision here against Natal. I'm kind of with Sean. I think he's definitely a really good athlete and can show some promise here. I like seeing that he went 5 rounds in his last fight in LFA. Natal's been known to get tired later in fights. So yeah, I like Anders here by 3-round decision. Another fight where the over should hit as well.
Yeah, I got both these guys to see. Anders is a really one of the better newcomers to enter this middleweight division in some time. Obviously, David Branch was a pretty good addition, but he was pretty well acclaimed before coming to the UFCs. But Anders coming right from the regional circuit, only fought a handful of times thus far. former national champion at the University of Alabama, led them in tackles actually in the 2009 NCAA, the BCS title game against Texas. So that really tells you the kind of athlete we're talking about here. There aren't that many guys like that who've actually played some professional football and played that high level collegiate football as well, and at that level to enter MMA. Especially obviously being able to fight in one of these heavier weight classes. That makes him intriguing right off the bat, just in terms of athleticism. He's got pretty good offensive takedowns. It's not surprising, being a linebacker and being able to tackle somebody that kind of plays hand in hand. He's got pretty heavy hands. Not necessarily the most technical striker per se, but just kind of a nasty dude. And that's going to make this interesting. He in his last fight, he went 5 rounds. Did get tired later on because of all the grappling, but this isn't a 5-round fight. It's a 3-round fight. And honestly, I don't think he really wants to go to the ground with Natala, who's a Gracie black belt out of New York City. Really not the place Andrews wants to be. Who's still kind of growing in that regard. Keep it on the feet. I think he's got the power to either knock out Natala or just kind of outstrike him over the course of 3 rounds. I think this is a good opportunity for him to come in, get a pretty good win off the bat over a guy who's mid-tier in this division, and then take it from there. It's a really good barometer. I like the matchmaking. I haven't bet this fight yet, but it's definitely one I'm targeting. I'd like to see the lines move a little bit more. Personally, a little closer to even money than what it's at now. Or maybe even to the plus side. Not sure it's going to get there, but I'm keeping an eye on it. Next bout up, last bout on the prelims. I totally forgot how to pronounce this guy's name.
Elijah Dushku.
Dushku, Zaleski Dos Santos against another New York City guy, Lyman Good. Nushan, do you care at all about this fight?
Not really. Is this the whole prelim main event because Good's from New York? Is that the only?
There's a lot of guys from New York here.
I know, so I would think there'd be some better matchups than this. I don't think Lyman Good's that good.
Unless you think it's entertaining. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Elijah Dushku's had some alright back-to-back wins in the UFC. I'll pick him in Toutmaster, but I don't give a fuck enough to bet it.
Yeah, West, do you think there's an upset in the cards here?
Nah. Lyman should get this win here. You can't lay minus 200 on him. I've never really thought too much of him either. I don't understand how this is. If you're kind of billing this as the prelim main event, I don't see how LaFleur Cowboy isn't in this spot here. Who really knows Lyman Good unless you closely follow? And I guess you follow this shit closely if you're watching fucking prelims of UFC on Fox 25 anyway. But, Good's the pick here. You can't bet him at minus 200.
He also hasn't fought in over 2 years. July 15, 2015, he KO'd Andrew Craig in his only UFC fight. I think he had, PEDs or he got suspended for something. That's a long time. To me, that's always a fade, and especially look what he's favored by. He's a minus 200 favorite. Hasn't fought in 2 years. I don't really think much of Elijah Dushku, but I think from a Toutmaster type of thing, I think you kind of have to play the dog here. Just play the percentages. Even he may get washed, but you have to play that dog number here. I think that's the only way. There's no way you could honestly put your money on a 2-1 favorite who hasn't fought in God knows how long. Main card, we got a pretty good main card here, pretty exciting. Yep. And it starts off pretty good with a really high level bantamweight clash, top 10 guys. New Jersey's Jimmy Rivera against Tommy Almeida. Yeah. Nushan, how excited are you for this bout?
This should be pretty awesome, but it might be a little sad as well because Jimmy Rivera might just wrestle Tommy Almeida, and that might make this fight a lot less fun. I hope he doesn't. I hope he just stands and bangs because that's what I want to see. But if he doesn't, this is a pretty bad matchup for Thomas Almeida. He definitely could get grounded out. Jimmy Rivera does have some power in his hands. I know he's got a lot of decisions. He did get that one sweet knockout or two sweet knockouts in a row. But for the most part, he's a grinding wrestler. So I don't know. I can't touch Almeida at those dog odds just because I think he might get grounded out. But I'm definitely not laying -200 against an absolute violence warlord like Thomas Almeida. He throws wild shit, and I just am hoping this fight is a stand-up fight. That's what I want to see.
Wes, do you think Tommy Almeida gets the upset win?
Man, on paper, this is just like an incredible action-packed fight, and I think it's going to be like the total opposite of that. I think Jimmy Rivera is like on the cusp of getting like some really big fights or even a title shot, and I think he's going to fight really smart here, and he's got a huge advantage in the wrestling department here, and I think he's going to use it. I really like him in this fight, and I'm a big Tommy Almeida fan. I think we all are, but Jimmy Rivera is the truth, man, and I think he's right there. I don't know if he can be a title holder, but I think he can get right there, and this is going to be the step that gets him right there. I don't know if he'll finish Almeida, but I do think he wrestles, and I do think he makes it kind of boring. And he's in my Chris Wade parlay, probably my biggest bet on the card. I think I got it like plus 105. Yeah, really like him in this fight. I think he wrestles. I think he's way more dominant there, and I think he gets a decision here. I think Almeida stays in it, and Rivera gets a decision.
I got Almeida at B, Jimmy Rivera an A-. I agree. I think Rivera is the side here. I think it really comes down to having multiple ways to win. Certainly the wrestling is a huge advantage. Almeida doesn't have good takedown defense, can certainly be taken down there and controlled, has been so in the past. But Rivera also has pretty good power. And Almeida, for as good of an offensive striker as he is, he's almost as bad as a defensive striker. He leaves himself wide open. He's been clipped in many fights. Jimmy Rivera easily has the power to put Almeida in trouble and potentially be finished. So I think either could happen. I'd like to see Rivera's chin tested because we really haven't seen it yet. So keep that in mind in this bout. It's a little dangerous just because Almeida is just because he's one of the best offensive strikers in the sport and is always a threat. So you kind of have to sit there a little worried anytime you kind of bet against them. But there's definitely some advantages here for Rivera, which I like. And the price point for me is minus 180. So if it's underneath there, I like it for a bet. Otherwise, I would pass. Next fight up, interesting bout again. Long Island's John Vellante facing everybody's favorite barista, Patty Dookie Cummins. Dushan.
Yeah, Patrick Cummins is an interesting fighter because, his wrestling is very good. The problem with him is he can win 14 minutes and 58 seconds of a fight, get hit with one punch, and lose. And that is a scary, scary thing to be putting money on a guy like that. Vellante has some power to touch that chin. I'm not going to bet him the money line. It looks like the money line has got hit. I don't know if it's got blessed. I'll have to do some more research to see if it was blessed. It's a weird one to be blessed, but I'm definitely gonna sprinkle on the TKO because I don't think Vellante is gonna win a decision here. If it's a decision, Cummins is gonna lay on him for 3 rounds. I think he knocks Cummins out. It might be early. It might be a little later in the fight when Cummins gets tired from wrestling, but I think Vellante clips him at some point.
That's fair. West, do you think this ends by knockout too?
Yeah, I'm leaning that way. Man, if Patrick Cummins had any kind of chin, like that dude could be like top 10 in the division. Like he'd be really, really good. His wrestling is legit, but man, like Sean said, it just any moment, any stiff breeze can knock Patrick Cummins out, and I think that happens here. Volante's, he's, I don't know, man, he's good in spots. The guy looks good at times, but when he gasses hard. He was looking pretty good against Shogun and just, gets caught. I just don't see Cummins catching him here. If he can just stay in the fight, stop a couple takedowns, he can get Cummins out of there. I'm with Sean. I'm going to look at the Volante by KO. That's the only way he's going to win this fight. He's not going to win a 3-round decision against Cummins. So, Volante by KO is the pick, and be looking at the line to sprinkle on that.
Yeah, I got both these guys a C-. Cummins is always going to be at risk of being KO'd. It's just the reality of the situation. Volante has the power to hurt him. He's a decent enough defensive wrestler that he can fend off, I think, takedowns early, and that's all that's going to matter because one shot is enough to put Cummins away, or at the very least hurts him, and then once Cummins is hurt, he can't really get his takedowns, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He'll tire, he'll get in trouble, and Volante will finish. I don't think Volante could win a decision in this fight. If it somehow goes 3 rounds, he's going to lose. The only way he wins is by KO. That's the way I see it. I think the price is like plus 180. I haven't bet that yet, but kind of we were talking about it before the show. That's a pretty appealing play instead of looking at Volante, who's now
minus 160.
Minus 160. I'm looking at the prop right now.
You should definitely hit it right now, Jay, before
Volante ITD is plus 165. The plus 180. Okay. I just putting in a unit right now. It's just one. Oh, here it is. Yep. The plus 180 is in.
It's consensus.
Lock. Yeah, we might as well consensus that.
Yeah.
That is our consensus, ain't it?
That is our consensus bet. John Volante by KO plus 180. God knows if that will move now, but here we are.
We don't bless things. We pick things.
Yeah.
We don't bless them.
Trying to get back in the win column with John Volante, who we believe the only way he can win this bout is by KO. Because Pat Cummins doesn't lose decisions, guys. He's usually dead before that.
That's right.
Co-main event. Really interesting bout in the, I guess that's the featherweight division. Dennis Bermudez and Darren Elkins coming back from his huge win over Mirsad Bektic.
Right.
Newshawn, can Elkins do it again? Beat another top 10 guy?
He fucking pulled that out of his ass. That was an insane fight. Like that fight against Bektic could have been stopped. I think we were all on Bektic. That was a rough one for all of us. I don't know. Like I've never really been a fan of Dennis Bermudez. He does have some skills. He can wrestle. He has some alright striking, but that chin is dangerous to play with because as we saw against the Korean Zombie, he can go night night at any time. It's not as bad as Cummins, but if somebody hits it hard, he's probably going down. Jeremy Stevens did it. Korean Zombie did it. I don't think Elkins is gonna do it. It's kind of a weird fight. You would think this is just going to be wrestling, and Bermudez should be able to wrestle him. If it kind of cancels, it'll be a striking match, and fuck, who knows? Maybe Elkins can clip him. This is another line that moved like crazy. It may have been blessed. We're not quite sure, we haven't consulted the priest, but it moved at most of the books. I grabbed it at a slow moving book at plus 190. It's plus 160 right now. I might hedge off of that to get an even better number once the lines tighten. I'll probably pick Elkins because you don't mess with the Lord right now.
Wes, are you messing with the Lord?
Man.
Wes, you going to church on Saturday or not?
Nah, I didn't stay down with the official clan to hit up church on Sunday. Lance probably caught on like just straight fire as soon as he stepped on the property. But man, this is like a really weird fight to me. I think Bermudez can wrestle and kind of do some of what Bektic did to Elkins, but he doesn't usually gas like that, so I could see it going that way. But I could also see Elkins reversing and making it tough and getting Bermudez a little tired. Like Sean said about that chin, Elkins, he's got a granite chin. He's going to be in the fight. Man, it's just a really weird fight. It's another one, like I said, that you want to take a stab at the dog, but the fave probably wins a really close decision. The over's probably going to hit in this one too. Same angle I've been talking about the whole card. But man, the Lord is just on another level right now. And if he's taking plus 160 dogs, you almost got to take the plus 160 dog. So Elkins will probably be a pick in Top Master, and I might just sprinkle on him for the fuck of it. But I think Bermudez should win the fight. But like I said, another really close fight.
Yeah, I got both these guys B-. This is a tough fight to call just because in terms of like it's like every Elkins fight's that way though. The guy he's facing seems to be just a better technical fighter, but he just makes guys fight these like dog fights, and it gets sweaty and aggressive, and it tires opponents out. Bermudez could easily he's the way better wrestler here. And I could see him getting power doubles early. He's going to dominate early. And if you like Elkins as a bet, you just wait. Why on earth would you bet him before the fight starts? That makes no sense. You're almost always going to get a better line after round one, and he gets better as the fight goes on. So I think that's the way you have to look at it from a betting perspective. See how the first round goes. If you're confident in Elkins at that point, you bet it. If not, you just let it go. If you don't feel confident at that point, wait for the second round to come. See how that round goes. Then you could bet. And Elkins is going to win a third round. So that's the way I look at it. I wouldn't even touch Bermudez in this bout. Some guys just kind of have an aura, and it's just you don't want to bet against them. And Elkins is in that kind of zone right now. End of story. So this is Elkins live bet for me or pass. Main event, pretty intriguing fight. Really big fight for the former middleweight champion here, given the losing streak he's been on. Kelvin Gastelum going to Long Island, taking on Long Island's best fighter ever, Christopher Weidman. Nushan, can Weidman get back on the winning track here?
I don't think so. I'm pretty low on Weidman at this point in his career. This dude is injured a lot. He has got knocked out in 3 straight fights. He had that neck surgery. It's weird because he's looked decent early on in pretty much every one of his last 3 fights. And the rock hold, the spinning kick, that was just dumb. And then he just got mangled on the ground, and who knows how much life that took out of him. Getting flying kneed by Yolo the God is never a good thing for your health. And then Mousasi, same thing, kneed him, and he was in a decent amount of trouble there after getting knocked out. I like Kevin Gastelum here. I played him at minus 155. It's not a big play for me, just because of the size difference. But I expect Weidman to win the first couple rounds again. Weidman doesn't have great striking, so I'm guessing he's just going to take down Gastelum and try to smother him for a couple rounds. But he's probably going to get tired, and that's when Gastelum's going to take over in the third and fourth, and he might be. I think he's going to finish Chris Weidman in the fourth round. There is a size difference, though. That's why it's not a huge play. But I'm pretty high on Kelvin Gastelum, even with him being a fatty.
Wes, do you think the same, or do you think Long Island could get it done here?
Man, I see everybody is on Gastelum in this fight, man, and I just don't know, man.
That's usually a bad thing, by the way. We were all on Stevie Ray.
Yeah, and I mean, like, everybody is on Gastelum in this fight. They pretty much wrote Chris Weidman completely off, and man, I just can't go that far yet. I mean, Weidman was in every single one of his last three fights. He was in the Mousasi fight before, the hand down bullshit. I mean, he was beating fucking YOLO the God until he got, one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen. Was doing decently well against Rocco to begin that fight. So I know he slows down. I know he's had some injuries, but man, is Gastelum at that high level right now? I mean, the guy misses weight constantly. He's going to be oversized in this fight. There's just a lot of questions on both sides. I'm going to pick Weidman and Toutmaster for sure on the dog odds, and I'm probably going to bet him here. I think he can out-wrestle Gastelum with the size difference. If he doesn't just completely hit a wall, I could see him getting a few rounds, maybe even stopping Gastelum with some ground and pound. But I just don't think it's as clear cut as everybody is picking Gastelum here. He's been blessed by the Lord and everything else. So, I'm going to pick Weidman here. I just don't think he's just completely washed like everybody says. And I think Gastelum's going to be fighting the much bigger guy in this fight. So, just a small play for me. I'm not really overly confident by any means, but I'm just not going to write Weidman off like everybody else is at this point. So I think he's got a shot.
Yeah, I got both these guys an A-. This is an intriguing fight. Weidman fighting on his home area for the first time, first ever UFC event in Long Island. Weidman's certainly physically a bigger fighter, but Gastelum, way better gas tank. Never been finished either, which makes this, really tough to go with. I personally couldn't put my money on Weidman just given all the negative, just the negative, how his kind of career has turned from, being a champion undefeated and, going on this losing streak, some really rough KOs. Knees, elbows, like just he's taken a lot of damage is my point over the last few years. I do I do see Gastelum winning this fight, kind of like a war of attrition, could be very competitive early on, then he takes over late in the fight. And I think it, again, presents a live betting scenario where you can wait, get Gastelum after a round or two, get a better price, get him at dog money, and then bet him then. It's certainly not a lock in my opinion, because I don't think the skill level gap is that big. But I do like, given that it's 5 rounds, I think that does favor Gastelum to win this bout. So, think about that too. Look at this fight, 3 rounds versus 5 rounds. I think that's all we got for you guys today. I know Wes wants to get back to the USA game, who I think is
dude,
in comfortable
you see this
shape.
shit? Yeah, have you seen El Salvador, though, dude? They're out there they punched Jordan Morris in the stomach, and one of them just bit Josie, dude. Bit him on the back, did old Suarez.
Lie, cheat, and steal to win. That's
it. They going MMA.
We might be having another civil war coming up.
Uh-oh.
That could be trouble. Until next time, next week is the big UFC 214 card and the return of the GOAT, Johnny Bones Jones. And don't let anybody tell you he's not.
Nope,
not at all.
God, how bad do we all want to see him take that paper belt back?
Fuck, I hope he subs Cormier. Oh, that'd be so awesome. I want to see a finish.
Cormier, that's better than a knockout, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. It could happen.
Right. Yeah, it could happen. Well, I don't know. I think Cormier may go to sleep.
Yeah, I don't think him tapping. Like, fuck, I don't
see it.
Nah,
Jones.
DC ain't tapping shit. No. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he'd give John the satisfaction. Honestly. So we'll be back with that next week, and we'll be talking about recapping these fights as well. So talk to you guys next week.